Hi, Remy here and welcome back. In this video, I'll configure axis twist compensation to ensure a perfect first layer. Twist compensation is irrespective whether your bed is flat or not. It's about axis and mostly it's on the x-axis. Some printer may suffer, mine does, as it's a custom built printer built with aluminum V slots, extrusion and 9 mm linear rail. Before you proceed, make sure that the following actions are done. Bed and nozzle must be clean, no debris. X and Y probe offsets are set correctly. Z offset is set correctly. Do a 40 by 40 by 0.2 mm cube print test at the center of the bed, just to verify that the Z offset is set correctly. Bed soak time. In my case, the bed size is 410 by 410 by 8 mm, and for that, normally the soak time is 10 minutes and during winter it's 15 minutes. Ensure that the bed is flat with a range of less than 0.5 mm. So let's see mine, height map and load default. So mine is, the range is around 0.08 mm. So this is pretty good. And lastly, if you change the nozzle, you might have to redo this test. And now let's see the problem. So I'm using this aluminum extrusion. So on this one, it's a V slot one. You can see there's a chamfer here and here. And over here, you can see it better. So you can see the chamfers. These kind of extrusion are meant for wheels type. So you have the gantry and the wheels will slide on top of this. They are not meant to install 9 mm linear rail. A 12 mm linear rail fits perfectly fine on the flat area on top of on this part. It does not go inside this slot. But a 9 mm linear rail, if you look closely, I'm not sure if you're able to see. This thing goes inside. It sits inside this chamfer. Okay, these chamfers are there. It goes inside there. So you don't get a parallel fit on this extrusion, the flat surface area. So because of that, this axis might twist either this way or this way. We don't know which way. No matter how good you align, you won't get a perfect fit with a 9 mm linear rail on a V slot aluminum extrusion. So you need to have a T slot. So better to go for a T slot. But I had this of the previous CR10 S4, so I'm using the same one. I do have a plan to replace it, but not now, in the future, to go with a 12 mm linear rail, but then I have to change most of the setup. For the print head, I'm planning to use the V-Core 4 type, so that is designed for 12 mm with a 9 mm belt. So that I might change it later. I do have a plan, but not now. Now let's look at the very first test print, wherein I have the correct Z offset set, but before enabling axis twist compensation. So on the front right side, so this area over here, it's very uneven. I can feel that the filament is not laid properly on this first layer. So right until to the center, so from this side, this area, I can feel it's uneven. Even going through this side and the rear right side also, the same problem over here. It's uneven, so the nozzle is close to the bed. So the bed seems to be this way tilted. That is because on the left side, this is left rear, this is perfect over here. So this area, this side is perfect. I don't feel any uneven of the first layer. So this is also good. And on the front left side also, this is good. No issue in this. Now let's look at the axis twist compensation configuration. So there are 6 configuration parameters here. So these 3 go together and these 3 together. Remember, the calibrate Y and the calibrate X, these are the center of the nozzle. So doing the calibration on the X-axis, you need to have Y center defined, and while doing the calibration for Y-axis, you need to have X center defined. It is mandatory to have all these 3 parameters defined. Same for the Y side as well. If any parameter is missing for that particular axis, you won't be able to run the calibration. It will throw an error. So this is the point where you will have to do the first paper test. Then the second will be at the center, and the last will be on the right side. Same for y-axis. So this is the first nozzle point where you have to do the paper test. Then second will be the center, and last will be on the back side. And this is the Klipper documentation. The configuration documentation is defined here. You can refer this. So once you have defined this, don't forget to save and restart. After that, you can come to this link which says Access Twist Compensation Guide. You can click here, and then it will take you to this page, and you have to run this particular G code. So if you run without any additional parameters, it will run for x-axis. If you want to run for y-axis, you need to run this along with axis equals to y. That should be defined here, over here, like this. Now let's copy this command, and we'll go to the printer interface. Under console, we can type this command and enter, but before that we have to home the printer. We have to home and then execute the command. But I have modified the macro. So basically, so this is the macro. It's nothing but it will home the printer first. If not home, then execute the same macro or the G code with the additional parameters if pass any. That's the only thing, so that you don't have to home the printer first and then run the command. You can simply paste the command and execute. Now we can enter. So this will home the printer. So once homing is done, you will get this pop-up window. So you need to proceed with the paper test. Now this is for x-axis. You will get this pop-up window 3 times. So first for the left side, then the center, and then the right side. So do the 3 paper tests. So let me do this. I'm just doing a dummy one. So once you are satisfied with the result, accept. It will move to the center, and again you'll get the pop-up. So again readjust, do the paper test, accept, and then it will move to the right side. So this will be the final pop-up for x-axis. Adjust how you want, accept, and once this is done, the pop-up window will close, and then you need to save the configuration. So copy this, type and enter. So once you enter, it will save in the printer.cfg file. After that, it will restart, then proceed for y-axis. So you can copy this, paste, and enter. So once this is done, again this will pop up again 3 times for front, center, and rear. So do the same paper test, save it with this command, save underscore config. Now let's look at this test print. This is after enabling and configuring access twist compensation. So in this test print, this is on the front side, so front right and front left. Okay, with this, the front right side is normal, it's good, it's doing properly, whereas before enabling it, the front right side was uneven, it was not good, but front left side was normal with the previous configuration, that is without enabling access twist compensation. After enabling access twist compensation, the front left side is close to the bed, the nozzle is close to the bed, and that is why you have this uneven layer. The layer lines are uneven. So with this, there was an improvement on the right side, but it worsened the situation on the left side. Next, we'll see this test print. So this test print is after manually adjusting the values for access twist compensation. So I had to reduce the values. That is, if the value is negative side, it is the gap is less, that is the nozzle and the bed is close, and if the value is on the positive side, the gap is more between the gap between the nozzle and the bed. So with this, I had to slightly reduce the values, in the sense it was on the negative side, so I had to reduce it to come towards the positive side. With this, there was improvement actually. So this is before, without manual tuning, excess twist compensation, and this one is after manually adjusting the excess twist compensation. Now this is the next test print. With this test print, I did a small test print here because I know that the problem is on the front side. So this is printed on the front side of the bed. So with this on the right and the left side, the layers are laid perfectly fine. There are no bumps. It's pretty smooth. So with this print, I knew that my previous print without excess twist compensation enabled, right side was problem, but the left side was doing fine. So what I did is the left side value I set to 0. So negative value which was there, I removed it and I made it 0. With this, the problem gone off. So the layers are perfectly laid fine on the left side as well as on the right side. So I thought that the problem is gone now. Now the entire bed should print fine. But that wasn't the case, so we'll see that. Now this is the next test print. This is after having the value set to 0. That is the axis left side value was set to 0. That is on this side value. It was set to 0. So with this, the layer line were perfect. You can see this is front right side. This is also good. And front left side. This is also good. Okay. Perfectly laid. Nothing wrong in this. Even in the center and on the rear right side, this is very good. But the problem came on the rear left side. So this is a problem over here. Let me bring it to close. This, you can see these layer lines are not joined properly. They are separating. This should not happen. This means that the gap is more, even though they are laying fine, but they are not squeezed enough. So that is why they are not joining together. And the bottom side, you can see it's not joined properly, but the rest of the remaining side is okay. Even in the center and the front side, this all they are okay, laid properly. So now next problem is to address the rear left side. So the front left side I've already addressed it, which means setting the value to 0 gave a very good result, but that has impacted on the rear left side. So I need to readjust the axis left value to again go to negative value. So this is the next test print which I have done on the rear left side. Only that particular area targeting I have done the print. So with this value, with this print, I have reduced the Z height, the gap between the belt and the nozzle, that was reduced. That didn't improve much actually. Still there is gap. I'm not sure whether you can see over here or not, but there is gap here. On the bottom side also it is visible over here. So I did another test print afterwards, again further reducing the values. You can see this, still there is gap here, there is gap. That also didn't add any value. Then I had to further reduce to see if that can help, and with this value I was able to have a good result actually. There is just 3 lines, 1, 2 and 3 lines, which very small actually, not big like the previous one. They did not join, so I might have to look at pressure advance for this thing to cover up. But the rest area, that is fine, unlike the previous test print. So this is the previous test print. If you see, this was in a very bad shape, but if you compare with this one after the fine adjustment, this side, the new values has shown a better result compared to the old one. So after readjusting the values for the rear left side, so that is this one, I reprinted on the front left side, which is this one. So with this also, with the new values, it did not degrade the performance, rather it remained the same. So a good result. The layers are laid perfectly, no gaps, no line distorted. And this is the bottom side. And this is the rear left side. So This is rear left side and this is front left side. So with the new values, I got a good result. Now next we'll see the print for the entire bed. And this is the final test print after fine-tuning axis twist compensation. So we'll start to view from the front right. So if you touch with your finger, it's very smooth. Then rear right, and then left rear, and then front left, and last at the center. So I don't feel any bumps or any uneven extrusion or uneven laying down of the first layer. It's pretty smooth. Now let's look at the printer.cfg configuration file. That is, after you run the save underscore config command, it will save to printer.cfg and restart. So we'll look at that configuration now. We'll go to printer.cfg file, scroll right at the bottom, and you will have this configuration. So this is my configuration, but this is not the actual configuration that was saved after the save underscore config command. This is something I had to manually adjust it. So my original configuration is over here. This is the configuration that was saved with the save underscore config command. So over here, if you look at the previous print test which I have done, so before enabling the excess twist compensation, my left side was giving good result. It was having very good first layer print, but on the right side of the bed, it was too low. That is, the gap was very less. So that is why the layer was squishing a lot. But after enabling excess twist compensation, it inverted. That is, on the right side, I was getting good result, and the left side, I was getting bad result. So this is the value I had to play around. So this is for the left side on the x-axis. Okay, so from here, I gradually started to reduce this value. So come towards the positive side. So this is the negative value. So I was reducing this value so that I come close to the positive value. So those test prints which I've shown earlier is by manually reducing this value. And then finally I set this value to 0. So this was set to, let me copy this. This was set to like this. So with this, I started to get good result on the front side. So the front left side and the front right side and the rear right side was giving good result. But rear left side, I had this issue. The layer was not sticking properly. The gap between the nozzle and the bed was high, and that is why the layers were not squished enough to touch to each other. So then after that, I started to reduce the gap. So I gradually went with this value. So I will revert this, and then this value I started to lower it. So I first went with 1000, did the first test, then 1500 over here. So this value, okay, 15. This also didn't give me good result. Then I set this to 2000 over here like this. So with this, I got good result. It is something that you have to play around by adjusting these values. You need to have some patience while tuning it. This is something fine tuning you have to do. And this test print covers most of the bed area. On the x-axis, it's 350, and y, it's 250. So let's have a closer look, starting from front right, then rear right, and then rear left, and then front left, and the center. So entire print, the first layer looks very good to me. All the layers are laid evenly. Please note that the fine-tuning values which I have shown, you might not need to do that. Just by doing the paper test, that is good enough. If you really need to fine-tune or readjust those values, only then you can proceed. Otherwise, those fine-tuning values you don't need to do. So that's all for this video. I hope this was helpful. Do like, share and subscribe. God bless and stay safe.